This hangout is on the air live. Hello, gentlemen. Hello, men. It's a hard topic
Morning.
today. Good morning. Do you ever want to take a break from life? Are you sometimes tired of managing everything and everybody in your life? Daily stressors that you find yourself wanting to punch out and do something else and change your existence, moving somewhere else, going galt, and start a new life again. Taking a break. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Taking a break. Do certain relationships and people cause you stress? Do you need to get out, get in this thing, and do you fantasize about running away and never coming back? I did. I did a long time ago. Uh, Mgtow helped me change those things. That's what we're going to talk about today. Finding time for you to take a break, planning things, and your health. And today we have in Warhorse and misanthrope altruist, and that's what we'll be talking about. Hey, Warhorse,
Hey, Joe. How are you, man?
I'm good today.
Good, good. Good to see you too, Misanthrope.
Yep.
And uh, this is a really good topic. I think that needs to be addressed to get people to start looking around and doing things a little bit differently, clearing their mind and getting out there. And this is something, yes, that I've done too when I was younger. The running away thing was sometimes very necessary. I would jump on the motorcycle and just go. Well, I headed out to California one time. It took me 3 months, and basically I was running away from
Yeah.
things that I had always envisioned. Of course, back in the day, with the Easy Rider movie and all the on the road movies and stuff like that, you kind of romanticize it, but
Right.
you also feel that freedom when you go out there and you do the things that appeal to me. The things I guess a lot of men do like camping. With
Camping.
a sleeping bag on the back of the bike, a pup tent, a I think it was a Boy Scout mess kit I had, and
Okay.
yeah, things like that. Because I didn't have a lot of area to pack things, and basically running away.
Right.
Uh, in years to follow, of course, I did my runaways in a little bit less drastic form to go somewhere for a week, maybe. Take the motorcycle, and that was always my choice of transportation. My thing that I wanted to do because I traveled to Europe as a young man, back and forth and flying, and I enjoyed it over there too. But in the States here, my preferred way was always with a motorcycle. It allowed me a certain freedom, a camaraderie with other guys that rode that you meet along the way, people you never even met. This is something that's cathartic, even though back then I don't think I looked at it in that light. But
Hmm.
the getaway was what was so important. I, I've quit jobs before. I told people, look,
Oh, me too.
Daytona Bike Week is coming up in first week of March. I need that week off and everything else. I tell them months ahead of time. And when the time comes, we need you here, we need you here. Well, I quit. Bye. You know, just to have that week to get away.
Yeah.
It,
You know what I found in life? It was with me. Uh, I did school, the army. I did married. I was back to school, and then on the job. And at 40 years old, I broke down and I dropped to my knees because I never took a day for myself.
yep.
And it was a real health problem. And planning these things. You know what I didn't do? I never planned it.
Well, I think what happens is, my things weren't really planned either. They were kind of off the cuff, seat of the pants. Hey, I think I'm going to do this and just do it.
Yeah,
And it was not
spontaneous.
always, it was not the wisest way to do it, let me tell you.
Right.
I got myself to the point where money was very tight, and I figured, well, back in the day, you could get a job at a gas station pumping gas, you could wash dishes, you could stop here, there, and whatever. And for the most part, that was true. You could make enough money, but it wasn't really a great way to have like the next few days. be taken up. You were constantly worried. Sometimes you went hungry. Other times things went well. So this was not something I ever planned back then, but I don't regret having done it.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I feel these were very fond memories, and I'm glad I did them when I was as young as I was.
Right. Yeah. You know what I like to, if I could do it over again and I could do for myself something that I didn't do after the army, and I probably I wouldn't get married because I'm a Mgtow now, so I wouldn't do that. But after the job went a little, I would save money and I would take a whole year off at about 30 years old and then just kind of do what I wanted to do. But that takes a little bit of planning. Uh, and that's where I got myself in trouble. I never had, the money to do it, or taking a year off. I got this some figure in my head would cost about a minimalistic about $17,500, and then you can travel around, do what you want, see what you get yourself healthy again. Uh, did you notice after about 20 years of work, them things started taking a toll on you?
Yeah, most certainly. I think it hit me like a ton of bricks when I turned 50. To tell you
Yeah,
the truth,
yeah,
um,
right around
my
50.
my entire past fell down on me like a house of cards. I mean, it was like almost one day after my birthday. It was like boom, and the all the years of working hard, playing hard, doing all the crazy stuff, and what have you, kind of bunched up, and it took me a couple of years to start to come to grips with it. That those days are over now. That yeah, we're done for.
Yeah, yeah, but I
That
could have, yeah, we could have planned that better. If there's so many stresses and pressures that get put on a man, and nobody cares about us. It's we're disposable, and at that point, I was 40. Well, I think I was 42, and I told you this one before. I'm just walking through the shop, and I broke down onto my knees, and after 23 years of doing this thing, I started working when I was 17 in the army. Uh, I It was the queerest thing that ever happened to me. I just dropped, and then uh, I had to fix myself fast, but nobody was going to wait up for me. My wife left me. Uh, Things happened. I became disposable, uh, and that's when I really seen Mgtow. I really seen what being a man in this world was all about. And God, I wish I would have just took off for a while and cured myself before that. And I felt it happening. I felt it
yeah.
happening to me. Uh,
I think when you're in the middle or midst of that, going through it in everyday life, you rarely take a look at yourself in that light. And
yeah.
I look back and I've always made very good money. I've spent money like it was water, and of course there were always people, especially women, willing to jump on board
Oh,
and
heck
go
yeah.
for that ride. My two wives certainly did. My last wife did. And looking back on that, you know, uh, she, I don't know if I would say she abused me. This was by my own doing to a degree,
Right.
but she
To a degree,
certainly,
it's
she
yeah.
certainly jumped on the bandwagon
Yeah.
and rode that gravy train that was of my doing. And look, I worked a full-time job at a dealership, and I worked a full-time job at my own machine shop, and then I even stayed going with my hobbies, doing more. So the hours in a day, I would guess are 13, maybe 16 hours a day where I was
Oh
constantly
yeah.
doing something. And of course, I made the money on one end, and the other end, I spent it just as quick almost.
And she helped you spend that.
Well, of course she did. She did, and I was too busy to even notice that. The credit card bills that racked up that I never saw for the longest time.
Oh yeah, I
All
know
all
about
these
those.
things. Yeah, I think most of us do. Especially if you've been married for any length of time and you're older. We're well aware of the behind the scenes type thing that they pull on you. Actually, my wife worked for somebody and she used to send her home. She worked for this couple who were also our neighbors, and she sent my wife home early in the day before everybody else left and her husband left to go get her mail to intercept the credit card bills before the husband got home. So, and still, it didn't dawn on me that my wife would be doing the same thing to a degree.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
know.
surprise, surprise. So yeah, taking the time sometimes to reflect and see what's going on around you, and then make something happen for you and you alone.
Yeah, Misanthrope had a word, and it's a single word called introspection, and I think Mgtow gives us that chance to do that introspection of ourselves. What do you think about that, Misanthrope?
It absolutely does, and in my case, it's sort of terrifying, because you gotta. So that's the weird thing. In this day and age, we have so many distractions. 20 years ago, we didn't have as many. 50 years ago, we didn't have as many. But now, we don't have to. It's like we don't really have the option where you find that moment where you're alone and you take pause. And sometimes, I remember a lot of times those moments would creep up on me, and I freaked out, and I sought after a distraction, and often that came in the form of women, or alcohol, or some cockamamie scheme of whatever. But that moment, that scary moment of like that you should give pause, that you should, if you keep avoiding it, that just goes to show you shouldn't be avoiding it. Because
Yeah,
that's, very tough shit's gonna happen in your brain when you do that. And it's interesting. I feel like, I don't know if it's like a conspiracy theory, but there's something set up about our society where we don't often do that because we don't have to. And even if we think about it, we don't have to think about it because we have so many distractions. Why sit down and think about life for any kind of real reason? you know, it's
yeah,
interesting.
it's better for society if we don't do these things, but it's not good for us. And that's at the point you realize that general society, gynocentrism, all those things that we complain about daily here, they're not doing things for our best interest. The F word, which I won't use, often says that if we just go along with their program, they'll it'll work out for us too. And we've learned that lesson already because most of us, most of us on this channel at least are a little bit older. We've seen how things work, and we've seen that we come to these stages in our life where I'm done, I'm through. I can't move a muscle. I need to go see a doctor. You know, I need a break. And then what do? You're disposable. Wow.
Yeah. And I think on our hangout I kind of briefed on one of my ultimate goals after the raising of my kid was to walk away, do like a walkabout,
Yeah.
indeterminate amount of time, just go into the wilderness or the desert or wherever and just figure it out. And something that recently dawned on me, and I still hold out for that, I'm gonna make it happen, but it can't be done the way it used to be. You got to have a
No.
fishing license, a hunting license.
Right.
Every property is owned, which means that you're kind of trespassing even on a park, in a national
Yeah.
park.
You have to plan for this thing, and it's what we're going to talk about today, and uh, get that planner out. Start making that planner, and this is the day where I'm going to stop. And that's what I'd like to say to these young men, because you're going to have to do that. It's not. No one's going to tell you it's mandatory, but it is mandatory, and I can tell you that it is mandatory that you do this. You take a year for yourself. Take 2 years. Hell, I took 2 years out of my life where I did my walkabout, and that's my last day at the job, the steel mill. I walked into I was cashing out my 401, and I walk. He says, "What are you going to do?" And I says, "I'm just going to go out there and see what's out there. I've never done that." And he said, "That's crazy." There was the accountant. And I said, "No, that's not crazy. This is what I need. Look at me." And at that point, I dropped down to 100, and I think he was looking at, from 270-pound healthy steel worker male to 140 pounds, and he was asking me, "What are you
Wow.
going to do? what are you going to do, Joe? That's crazy. And he wasn't even seeing me. All he was seeing was what I could do for him.
Yeah.
Well, you make a good point, Joe. You know, the thing though that a lot of people have to realize, a lot of men need to realize, is that first comes the hard work, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's no way around that. You know, you can't be hanging out doing nothing and just going maybe to work cleaning the floors at a McDonald's and then expect, well, I need a break.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that's not going to cut it. You're just not needing a break from that. Although the job probably does suck a lot, and you feel like you want to get away from it and you need a break, but the real hard work is in achieving something first, becoming something, having a profession, having you know, something that you can make the money at. The hard work, you put it in, and then you come to a point where you say, all right, you know, I deserve a break. And you have to tell yourself this as a man.
Right.
I deserve the break. It's not that you're at the point of a breakdown that you finally have to give in and say,
Yeah.
now I have to have a break, and it's probably going to be in a mental institution.
Right.
But
Yeah, let's avoid that breakdown thing.
yes, yes. It's the hard work first, you know. Get out there, do it, kick some ass, you know, while you're young, preferably, and kick that ass. Also, plan to put some of that money away. In other words, don't be like me and blow it all on the day. But you know, and then go out there and say, "I deserve this, and I'm going to do it." That's
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
how it needs to go.
What do you think we need for these things? A simple camper or a motorcycle with a tag along on it? You know, to keep your tent, your stuff like that. That's not all that expensive if you plan for it. You can do that while you're still working. We all do that. We all buy these boats, campers, or whatever is in your area. Whether you live in a winter waterland like you do, you know, a summer waterland, you can live on a boat for a year
Right.
if
Right.
that's your thing. You can live on a motorcycle, which is very, very appealing. You can get a camper. That's what I did. I bought a Dodge 350 Elkhart, and I lived in it for a while, and
Yep.
drove around. Went to there's these little places. I know there's a place called Palmatuming Lake up here, and there's a causeway that goes, and there's free camping there. They got water, showers, a beach. Uh,
Wrong.
And here's the other thing, you know, you say campers, motorcycles, and look, you know, motorcycles, you can buy used ones relatively
yeah,
cheap, good dependable bikes, like let's say a Honda Goldwing, you know,
right.
at a relatively cheap price or something like that. A tag along, you can home build one. You know, here's a hobby, here's something that you can do. Uh, and look, when I was in my, well, let's see, almost late 20s, I bought myself a little 16-foot trailer, you know, a hook-on trailer for a pickup truck, and it needed a fair restoration, the interior, cabinets, stuff like that. And I set about doing that for about a year and a half. Whenever
Hmm.
I had the time, I repainted it, I redid all the cushions, I put new cabinets in, new sliders, this, that, and the other, and then I went from Texas to Florida, you know, in
Nice.
that little camper. That was great, and all I needed was a half-ton pickup. I didn't need a huge pickup for that,
No, you
although
don't.
I have had fifth wheels too, 35-foot fifth wheels
Oh yeah.
campers, but with an F350. But I'm saying to do it on a budget. Around here, you can buy these vans that are converted. You know, they have the back camper on them and everything.
Right.
For geez, I've seen them for around 5,500. You know,
Yeah,
because the fuel costs and everything. This is
yeah.
something that you can basically live in. You know.
Right. Yeah. You know, it can be very reasonable. You need to get like for a year, I would think you need to get about 9,000 miles out of whatever you're buying.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of these used vehicles, and I've seen plenty of them out here, big ones actually, for relatively very cheap, what I would consider very cheap, going at very low mileage because they sit most of the time. People buy these things with the intention of traveling all over the country, and well, they never really do. you know, so they might go on 1 or 2 trips and the tires dry rot. So
Yeah.
you have a relatively low mileage vehicle here that might need a little bit of work, and if you're in any which way handy, you know, putting fan belts on and maybe replacing a water
Right.
pump or something like that, you know, which is well within the purview of most men that are relatively mechanical,
Hmm.
then you can get this thing up and running, in 9,000 miles is a drop in a bucket for a vehicle
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, you know what? You know what happened during my time off and everything? Uh, I had the van. You know what the van became after the van? The after I was done taking my time off, it became my work truck.
Right.
So as I was taking this time across, I was doing the introspection on what I wanted to be in life. I was collecting all that information, everything I know, everything I did, and then after that, it was just a matter of buying some equipment.
Awesome. Yeah.
So it kind of went circularly, and I got healthy, and I'm still healthy to this day, marginally. But man, if I would have cut that thing about 32 and did this at 32, I would have been 10 times healthier right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a real planning, and it kind of works out. Your life, man, I always say there's a certain karma to life that once you start doing something right, it just kind of leads to that next right thing and that next right thing. And where we get so engaged in these wrong things and what people expectation on us, and them are the wrong things. Them are other people's wishes and desires for you to make their life easier. Uh, Planning for yourself is so easy. And I got this sum about 17,500 in my head. That's nothing to save in maybe 10 years. What is that,
No,
1,700? Yeah,
no,
1,700.
that's nothing at all. And you'd want to save a little bit more than that, I would imagine,
Oh,
to
heck yeah,
have
if you want to have a
a better
good
time.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, but and here's the thing, you know, I think what a lot of people don't like doing, and I know men don't like doing it, and neither do I. Well, not anymore, I don't. But it's to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You have to get out of that comfort zone and take certain risks, and then watch how they pan out and how much learning you inadvertently do because you got out of that comfort zone. You know, you jumped into, let's say you're going traveling, you know, on however you decide to do it, but you're out of your comfort zone now, you know, and you're going to be around other people in places that you're going to have to interact with. In other words, this is, you know, going back to my ranting video that I did with you know, having your face stuck in a damn little square box all day long,
Yeah.
the iPad thing or the iPhone, and you know, now if you go to a campground or something like that, you're interacting with other people, and you start to open your eyes to a whole new world out there that you previously did not know.
No existed, right? Mobile
Well,
caravans and
sure.
camper people are all around this country at least.
Oh, they're great people,
Yeah, they
and
are.
you know, look, I'm not part of that crowd now, or well, I guess I never really was, but I've been around them certainly in my travels, and this is something that you get to meet all these different people. You get a different outlook on your entire life by interacting with these people. And that's something I think a lot of people are missing now by staying in the shell and saying, you know, the world sucks out there. Yeah, it does. You know, if that's all you're looking for, it's going to suck.
Oh
But
yeah.
you need to look in other places.
Right.
Leave yourself a little bit vulnerable, not stupidly vulnerable. You know, don't ever put yourself in harm's way.
Yeah, there's
But
risk factors that you consider.
there are, you know, you never know who you meet. You know, there's strangers, but if you're going to be paranoid, you're not going to enjoy life anyway.
Right.
Uh, you have to kind of let go of some of these insecurities, the inhibitions, feel secure about yourself that you can handle pretty much anything that's going to come your way during your travels because basically all the crazy crap is all Hollywood movies, really. You know,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
very little of it, unless you hang around a certain aspect of society, which you know going in is going to give you that drama. But under normal circumstances, you've got to get out of that comfort zone. And that's what I'm seeing nowadays, where people aren't willing to do that anymore.
I don't
Right.
even think it occurs to people anymore. Like going back to what I was saying before, if you're not in the rat race, then you're, on a video game or on the computer or whatever. And it's interesting how entertainment has really taken up activity and hobby. They're not the, I don't think they're the same thing. And yeah, you got to find. So I like how you guys were talking about building up for it. And I don't know if you realize it or not, but like part of the planning, part of like maybe you got to pick up a skill set or learn how to do something on your own. Doesn't that actually become part of the journey in the big scheme of things?
Yes, it does. That becomes a big part of the journey. You, that's the thing that most people miss, is that planning part. You never thought about yourself. You're always thinking about other people. You're always thinking about who in your life was more important than you. No, you put that away and start planning for these things. And at a certain age, if you get it early, then man, life's gonna be a joy.
Yeah.
If you don't, then oh my God, you're gonna be like me. and I always say, don't be me. Don't be me at all. I don't want people to end up being me and having to go through that before I find out what I wanted to be.
Yeah, don't do as I did, do as I say.
Yeah.
Hello, hey, Nico's in here. Hey, Nico, how are you?
Hello, guys. I don't know if you can hear me well. I'm
Yes, I
not
can hear
using my mic. So, still in between moving, so, yeah. How are things? What were you guys talking about?
We were talking about stopping at a certain point in life for your health, and saying, I'm going to put everything away and I'm going to take a year or take a month, take a 2 months,
yeah.
take 3 months, and just go look around and do a run about the country, take an extended holiday, and get your health in order. We start at school, we go to school, then most of us go to college or join the army, we go back to school, then we're on a job, and then at 40 years old, most of us will have a breakdown, some sort of where we never thought about ourselves and we never thought about our health.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm having a breakdown now from from the work that I'm doing. I'm just fucking tired.
Yeah.
I have a night shift to go to in, God, 2.5 hours. Yeah. I think the best thing is to take breaks in between if you can. Or if you can take a whole year.
Yeah.
I mean, I could possibly take 6 months without even looking back right now. But yeah, I'm not going to do it anytime soon.
Yeah. From a doctor's point of view, Nico,
yeah.
What happens when you sit down and you sit on a couch or you go do something entertaining or you do something for yourself for 6 months? What happens with your body?
Your body, you need to think about what happens when you don't do these things. So when you're working constantly all the time, when you're working a stressful job,
stress,
you have this constant release of hormones such as cortisol. You have adrenaline just flowing through. Your immune system gets fucked. Yeah, that's the medical term for it. You keep getting ill all the time. Your health suffers as a result. And cortisol is an insulin antagonist. So what happens is that it makes you a lot more prone to getting diseases such as diabetes, metabolic syndrome, heart disease, all of these things happening just because you're stressed all the time. So you need time to unwind. Now, on the opposite side, you're not stressed. You're not doing anything that's remotely stressful. You're taking some time off. Your stress hormones are down, so cortisol will be at an absolute minimum. You have time to care for your health, for what you're eating, for what you're doing. You're enjoying yourself, so you have all the pleasure hormones being released. So it's generally very good for you. Just look at aristocracy and stuff like that. So really rich people live a lot longer, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, especially the ones that don't have to make money all you have to do is look at the queens and kings in the UK. They live a long fucking time,
Yeah.
especially the female ones. So yeah, you have to consider all these things, and if you feel like life is getting a bit too much, maybe it's time to unwind. And I'm gonna take a month or so of a break. If I can take a bit longer, maybe I'll see you guys in America.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
All I have to do is buy a GoPro and go around, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need. Just a GoPro and maybe a motorcycle.
Well, think about it. Sandman has been talking about making a documentary for a long time. If you go on his Patreon, so I can just do it without any money. Just do it because, well, fuck it. I have a month. What the hell could I do?
Yeah, well, you know what, Mgtow is a great thing too, because like I said before, I have rooms here. You don't have to spend a hotel room to come through Cleveland. You don't have to spend for money for food or whatever, and we can barbecue if anybody's Mgtow can do these things. We can set up little places, stops and stuff where you can stop at your buddy's house. You can stop through the UK and through Americas, where it could cost you. It could be a minimal cost rather than being a maximum pain of savings.
It's fine, man. All you need is $5,000 and you can survive it. I mean, America is not expensive.
No.
Not in any shape of the imagination. And I'm not very fussy. $5,000, I can survive a month. Very comfortably, actually. I'm seeing Gregory Becker is telling me that you guys were talking about sex. Why did you guys not mention sex when I'm?
Oh, we weren't talking about sex.
I bet you guys were talking about sex.
Gregory hit his head on something.
Where did he have his head? Oh.
No offense, Gregory. I don't know, man. No, look, what we were basically talking about, is taking short time off also, not only long term. I was making mention that every year I would go for a week to Daytona Bike Week, and I've quit jobs to do that. So just a week a year sometimes can be a good thing. And then later on, when I was working at the dealership, I worked my way up to the point where I had 3 weeks of paid vacation. And the funny thing was, spending 3 weeks like that, the first week is usually to where you just decompress from the job. Then you look for something to do, and then the last week you spend that doing it. And then when it comes time to go back to work, all of a sudden you feel like, you've lost a little bit of your edge. Because 3 weeks.
You feel depressed.
Well, no, it's not depression. It's like, will I still remember everything I did? And now we're only talking 3 weeks ago, and of course this is subjective to the way I felt. That I always thought, gee, can I still pump out one of these jobs in an hour and a half or whatever? Do I have it in me? You feel a little bit of that.
It in you.
Well, no, I did have.
Gregory is still talking about sex, man. I'm sorry.
I hope he's not talking about anything in me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was.
Oh,
that was the sound of a wink.
Okay, let me go over there and look what the hell they're talking about now. Okay, here we go. There's
He's instigating something.
Yeah, hey, we got half of the crew star schmuck here.
Yeah. That was a good episode.
That was
credit
cool.
all goes to Mgtow. Yeah.
Yeah, let's give Mgtow a plug here. He did put out Star Schmuck. If you haven't gone and watched it, please go watch that. That's a great little cartoon that has a lot to do with Mgtow. Yeah.
Did you see the name of my character?
Yes, I seen that.
Hey, I gotta ask you, the female, was that Diana?
That was
Diana. Yeah, it was. Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't know. I just wanted to ask. I watched it this morning.
And Raging Golden Eagle was in it.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was in it.
First, I thought that was the mayor, and then I was like, no, that's not the mayor. Who is that? And it was RGE.
What's this about putting things in? It's where you insert something in somewhere. It's usually an orifice with enough lubrication for you to slide that something in. Answering to Turkman. Right,
Oh,
let's move on away from sex.
yeah, let's move on. So talk about men, talk about our health. You know what I found out after I had broken down? I went to the doctor, and you know what you said about your immune system. They thought I had AIDS when I first went in there. They thought my immune system was so devastated by stress and working that that it looks like I had some autoimmune disease, and I really didn't. All it was stress. It was not taking time for myself. It was years and years and years of punishment, and that all has a lot to do with it's not with not planning for my future. I was planning. I thought I was. I thought I was doing all the right things, but that was the blue pill world telling me and trying to extract my utility. That's what they want.
And
Yeah.
the other thing, the good point there that I wanted to hit on real quick is if you can avoid that going into the medical profession, and this is no offense to you, Nico, but
Fine.
look at the stress that built up on top of everything else, telling you that you might have AIDS. That, I mean, good grief, right? So if you can avoid having to go into something at that point where you're that bad off that you have to go in there, and then you get these diagnoses which hit or miss, and all of a sudden you think, oh Christ, AIDS, and you grow a year older within a couple days, waiting on something to confirm it or
Right,
deny
yeah.
it, what have you.
Yeah, it was 4 weeks at that time. I had to wait 4 weeks for that Western blotter that they used to do the comeback, and I was so
Oh
stressed.
God.
It
Fuck.
was like I wanted to shoot myself, and that was almost a suicide moment in my life. I was like, what am I going to do? But after I fell through that, I started planning, like, okay, I got X amount of time left, and that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, if
And
that can be avoided altogether by taking care of yourself, and it's not a bad thing to occasionally just be a fuck off. Occasionally, I'm not saying all the
Occasionally.
time, but yeah, I don't know how else to put it. Sometimes a man just has to be a fuck off. Just blow it all to hell. I mean, that's it. Screw it. Screw the world. Screw everybody. I'm just going to do what I want, and damn the consequences. If you will. And by that I don't mean go and eat 100 hits of acid or something like that. But I'm talking about taking care of yourself and enjoying life.
well,
Right.
that's the whole concept with Mgtow. Mgtow is, as an idea, if we want to just break it down, it's a big middle finger, isn't it, in the face of everyone else.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it seems like the most difficult of tasks is to try and persuade men to be selfish. And even saying the word selfish sounds wrong, because you just want them to be able to look after themselves, take care of themselves. No one else does, so they need to do that for themselves, and their priority in life needs to be them.
Right.
So in order to do that, you need to understand that whatever you're doing, whatever you're working, it needs to be a job that at least makes you happy. And if not happy, that it's something that's bearable. Because I've realized, right, since I was a student, I was making no money, right? Or I was in debt. Now I'm making enough money for myself, but my expenses have not moved at all. I mean, other than the car that I bought, I'm exactly to where I was before. I'm spending almost exactly the same amount of money, and everything else is surplus.
Yep.
So you don't need a lot as a man. You don't need a lot as a man at all. Who was it? I think it was Man Woman Myth that said that if a woman makes X amount of money and a man makes X amount of money, when that X amount of money becomes 2X, then the woman's expenditure also goes up by 2 times.
Right.
Oh,
She
you
spends
bet.
twice
Yeah.
the amount, if not more, right?
Oh,
And the man will just keep spending like just slightly more. Maybe if he has a bit more available, it doesn't make that much difference to him. So the reason that men work so much in the past was to provide for other people, for women,
Right.
specifically. So if you don't have that much of a need to gain as much money as possible, then you need to focus on what you're doing. Make sure that you have your hobbies, whatever your hobbies might be. You have a job that's bearable, or at least something that you enjoy, and you have the time and the ability to do so.
Right.
As a grown-ass man, it doesn't take a
Yeah.
lot to save money, man. It's
Yeah.
No,
very easy.
I noticed that since my wife passed away, and I've been single, and actually I've got less income now than I did ever before. It is amazing how cheaply or minimalistic I can live, and that I have money to go out and do things whenever I feel like it. Like I mean, I made that video with a TV I just bought and everything. No big deal, man. I paid cash for that, and I didn't touch any of my savings. I touched nothing. This is just out of my monthly income.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, how come I wasn't able to do this before? And I was making, Jesus, 10 times the amount of money, and yet I still would have had to have charged something like that TV. The stupidity of it sometimes hits you in the head, but way too late sometimes, too.
Yeah. You know what I see a lot of men do, the common mistake men make? We see the Bitcoin holders and the silver hoarders and the savings hoarders and everything. They spend their whole life saving, and then they die. You know what?
Yeah.
At a certain point, you have to plan to spend that, and who's the best person to plan it to spend it on? Yourself.
Right.
That's all good and fine and dandy, but if you're going to end up, 72 years old in a casket with a bunch of money, you can't take that with you.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me? There is a really good TED Talk. I don't remember what the name of the guy is. And he says that life, as we're living it right now, seems to be a competition between people on who makes the most money when he dies, right? Who has the most money when he dies.
Yeah.
And it seems like the most useless way to live your life. You need to enjoy things. What's the point in making money if you're not going to enjoy that money, if you're not going to have money for your old age? And yeah, we need to start thinking like this. And living minimalistically, it's the best thing ever.
And it's so easy. It's so easy.
Yeah. I'm moving to a new apartment now, and my flatmate was asking me, what do you want as a bed? And I told him, can I get, like, I don't know, a couple of bricks, put them underneath a mattress and sleep there? And he's like, no, you need to get a bed. I'm like, do I really need a bed? I just need a mattress to sleep on. But he bought me a bed because it's his house and I was bringing bricks.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of my way of thinking, and that only happened since I became Mgtow. It seems to be that I don't need that much money. Like, the things that I enjoy are usually electronics, and they are fairly expensive. Like, I have an expensive laptop, have an expensive e-cigarette. Well, what else? Oh, and I'm gonna buy an expensive TV. That's it. I'm happy. Oh, I forgot the car and a car. That's it. I don't care. I don't care where I sleep, man. I just want to enjoy my time when I do things.
Right. And realistically, as far as, well, for me, I think that having a year of paying your bills, covering your expenses and everything else saved away that you don't touch is more than ample.
Oh, yeah.
Anything after that, certainly you can save more and what have you. And some people say, well, for retirement and travel and this, that, and the other. Yeah, if you're in your 20s and everything and you're thinking about retirement already, you might want to rethink that, because you might not live long enough to, enjoy it if all you're doing is working and putting that money away and more money, so that when you're finally 65 or 70, that you can take a friggin' cruise on some ship where you're going to get food poisoning and seasickness and everything. Look, if that's what you want, great. There are several things I'd like to go. I'd like to go to the Grand Canyon. I'd like to go to the Redwoods. But and I may do that one day. I don't know. But all I really feel secure with is that I know I've got enough saved away and firmly in place to cover me for a year. That's food, that's whatever might come up other than some drastic emergency like the house blowing away or the roof blowing off. Well, I could still cover it, but then, I would have to go back.
But you have insurance, man. Someone will help you with that.
Oh, I know that, Nico, but I was just trying to make a point. And I do have insurance. And the thing though is that I can still live minimalistic at this point, not touch anything else, and still have enough money to do what I want when I want to, but not all the time. I can't go out and eat 3 meals a day at the best restaurant in town and then expect to have my money hold out.
Right.
So you have to have some kind of thing in the back of your head that says, look, this is what I actually need. This is what I sometimes want. And then be able to do that is so liberating. And it gives you a certain calm and peace knowing that everything's good, you're covered. You no longer have to, like Misanthrope said, be in the rat race.
Yeah. Well, let me try and say it like from an example. So, do you know what the average life expectancy is for a male doctor?
72.
No.
No?
It's less than that.
It's less than that?
Yeah, it's less than that. It's around 67, 68, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, all right. So I've decided to not pay pension anymore because
the gambling man.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna be alive to enjoy it. Plus, you can take the money and invest it somewhere else. So you can buy a house, a flat, then sell the flat, then you can just survive. Right? That's not a problem. But you need to be aware of certain things. And Turk actually says, I don't agree with minimalism. When you become Mgtow, you increase your wealth by reason of not having a female in your life. I agree. But let me tell you this, right? I'm now making slightly more than I was making before, when I had a woman in my life. But surprisingly, I bought so much shit. Like, you have no idea. And I'm actually saving money without any effort. Right. And this is me living a minimalistic life. And buying minimalistic life means I'm eating in restaurants all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Right? I'm spending shitloads of money smoking shisha. Shitloads of money smoking shisha. I'm going out drinking with my mates and stuff like that. It's just that I only do this at my own pace. I go to movies, I go out with friends, but I'm only paying for me. Just for me. Right. There's nothing that I do that's not just for me. And when I only take care of my needs and I don't need to go out, even if I was going out with another person and we're splitting the bill, I'm still doing things that I would necessarily not do otherwise. So I'm actually saving money. And man, I'm buying a TV that's like $2,000.
Nice.
And $2,000, and I'll make that money in a month. That's nothing, right? And I'm not even thinking about it. Like in the past, I would think, oh, maybe I need to save up for like a month or two, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nah. All I have to do is eat home for a month. That's it. Money saved.
Yeah, not go out for a month and the money's there.
No, go out for a month.
Yeah.
Go out. Just eat at home. That's it. I have enough money saved.
Yeah, that's usually how I do it. I just stop doing all those extravagant things for myself. When I want a new TV or I want a new computer, or I want a new phone or something, I'll just stop doing everything for a small period of time, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's the money. It's there magically.
But that's what I mean. When we say about minimalistic things, like what we mean is like live the life that you normally live, but simplify it a little bit.
Yeah, right.
We're not talking. Sorry.
Well, yeah, right. I meant to agree. We're not talking about living in a cardboard box.
Or a cave. No. We're not talking about
that. Yeah, we don't. None of us do that kind of living. where we live. I'm not going to go live on a street corner. No, that's not me. Yeah. Do you think? I had a thought that the conspiracy theorists out there that it's the Bitcoin people, the Save Silver people. Did they put some kind of crimp in this thing where it's always saving for that past or that future disaster that's going to happen, and they're saving for a disaster that's not real. It's delusional in their head, and I'll say these people are delusional, and then they forget about doing the things for themselves because they're hoarding, they're doing those things, and that doesn't mean that you're going to have happiness while you're doing those things, and it puts a real crimp on your happiness.
But what is this thing, happiness? It pisses me off. I mean, we talk about happiness all the time, and I think of happiness as me. When I got my degree in med school, after med school, that was happiness. It lasted for about 5 minutes after finding out. That was it. That's a happy moment. Right, happiness is just a bearable state of discontent. That's what we mean with happiness, because you can't be happy 100% of the time.
Yeah, I probably used the wrong word. It's like more of a serenity in your life that
yes, a contentment.
A contentment with where you are and what you're doing. A real life serenity that you can feel. I'm healthy. I'm good. Everything's okay. I'm not worried about some nuclear war down the future happening where I'm going to have to. And I can tell you guys one thing. I read a good book about the Serbian War, and how money meant nothing to these people. You know what meant something? The guy that could fix a toaster. The money. If you're saving money for this futuristic war and being a conspiracy theorist, that's not going to happen, because what you're going to need is a skill then that relates to whatever. Yeah, you're going to need to
barter. Yeah.
Because money, gold, silver, all that stuff's out the door. You may be able to buy certain things with it, but the whole society will. If this society, this going cult society that they say everything's going to break down, is going to happen, money ain't going to be worth nothing.
But then again, hang on just a second here. Let me get this off of my head before I forget it. The thing is, with a lot of these guys, I think it becomes a hobby to them, the survivalists.
Yeah.
And it is something that they live for. Even though we may not understand it from their point of view, and we're looking at it from our point of view, this is something that they're so involved in that it's. It really has become a hobby to them, and a way of life, and what they're into per se. So, who's to say? And you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, common sense doesn't have to prevail with all hobbies, and very few of them really do have common sense attributed to them.
Right.
Like my drag cars. I mean, how much common sense is in building one of them and owning it, right?
Yeah.
It's zero common sense. It has no intrinsic value to surviving or life or anything else. So maybe these guys are just doing that for them to be into that. I'm sorry, Mgtow. You had something to add.
Well, yeah. Well, I have some leanings toward survivalism. But then there's one thing, and there's this word that hit me recently, and I think it was Cyborg that coined it. It's collapse porn. So if you're going out and you're learning skill, here's the thing: if you're saving up money and you got this, and you're trying to fortify a house, that's ridiculous. If you really think a collapse is coming, then you need to invest in any kind of talent or skill in yourself to survive in any situation, and that's fine. I think that's a okay lifestyle. If you're a nutbag about it, you're not even enjoying the training and everything that you're learning.
Right.
Paranoia is not going to help. We go back to the word collapse porn, and say that's not just with people. That's actually become a cultural phenomenon now. We had so much in our literature and our movies and whatnot. So much say that it's so pervasive idea that things are going to collapse that maybe we're being warned that it's going to. I mean, you could take it any way you want to, but it's become this thing. And why is that? Why are we concerned?
Whoops! I think we lost Mgtow.
Yeah, his audio was breaking up and getting high and low too. So.
Yeah,
Well, on that point, let me say this, right? I think it's nice to be able to focus on the future, but I think the majority of the unhappiness that's happening in everyone, right, happens because we're either too stuck in tomorrow or too stuck in yesterday.
Right.
So nobody cares about today. I mean, not even today. You don't even have to care about today. You have to focus on the now, what you're doing right now. You know, enjoy every moment as it comes, and every moment has limitless possibilities. Like, and you don't have to care that much about what happens in the future. The future is something that you cannot control. I mean, as human beings, we're so stuck in this idea that we have ultimate control of our fates, but it's simply not true. It's simply not true at all. And if you keep focusing on things that either have happened to you or things that may happen to you, then you're not living your life. So the best thing that I would advise is it's not acting stupid in any way or assume that you have no tomorrow, but enjoy the now, right? And you can enjoy the now by doing very simple things. Like, I enjoy listening to books. Like, I hate going to work. I know I'm going to go to work. I'm going to get ass raped because that's how, seriously, it's that bad. It's that bad. My job is that bad right now. And I'm looking forward to the simple thing of just listening to an audiobook on the way to work. And that, like, 1 hour that I'm driving to go to work, I'm loving that moment every day, just listening to this audiobook and learning a few more things.
Yep. This is something that Felix and I have talked about quite a few times, and I think it comes down to being very mindful of what's going on around you at the moment, not being distracted by a lot of different things, and taking in each moment by moment, you know, whether it's a walk through the woods or a car drive, or you know, when you're constantly distracted by gadgets and everything else, you're not focusing on the moment, and that is something that people have lost how to do. You know, you're listening to an audio book, and I listen to them too. I like them, but focusing on that, you realize that you put yourself in that moment. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're not thinking about hours from now or anything else. And you know, I've gotten so sidetracked in a moment of doing something or being involved in it, whether I light up a stick of incense, turn on the lava lamps, darken the room a little bit, and listen to the rain outside. That, and then I forget that I got to make dinner. You know, it's one of those things. It's some people call it meditation. I don't really think of it as meditation, but I think of it as being mindful in the moment and paying attention to it, taking in all the nuances of that. This is something that I think, you know, kind of technology has driven a lot of people away from that.
Yeah. While technology can enrich your life, it can also make it a lot less important for you. It's like going out with friends, and there's a group of, and I'm like a younger generation guy, right? So I know exactly. I love my technology. I said that before. Like, I buy the latest tech, fucking throw money at it, right? But when I go out, right, I keep my phone in my pocket, and I talk to no one who might be ringing me, emailing me, texting me, WhatsApping me, Viber, whatever the fuck is, you know, is available, and Skype. And I have the Mgtow things that are happening simultaneously. So I need to just go out, put the phone in my pocket, and focus on that, let's say, experience with my friends. But the majority of guys, the majority of people right now, the majority of girls right now, they just look at their phones and stay there. No one just walks around, and I think I read a comment from Felix about this, like, no one pays attention to nature, how it changes. month to month, season to season, the beauty around them, and all that. And you find that once you stop focusing on what you have to do, what you need to do, what's happening afterwards, what happened before, and you're just doing the one thing at that point, then you notice everything else. Listening to my audiobook, I noticed like nature around me. I'm more careful with driving. It's very strange. And
Right.
I'm usually a lot more careless when I'm focused on I need to go into work and I need to do this and it's going to be shit. But you're a lot more focused without any effort. Focus comes effortlessly.
Correct, correct. And that's, look, I'm not saying technology is bad. I'm not one to talk. I've got 7 computers here, and I play with them all, and they all do different things and stuff. But like you said, I've seen it at restaurants, especially fast food restaurants. I go to one, a taco place across the street from a high school, and a lot of the kids are, it's almost like all of them come over there to eat. And I swear, I see a table with 7 kids sitting at it, and they've all got their nose in their little iPhone or whatever, and nobody's talking,
Yeah.
And I usually kind of chuckle and think to myself, I wonder if they're texting each other across the table. It's to that point where I think it can become a great distraction, but when utilized properly, it's a wonderful thing. So, if you abuse something, look, it's like eating chocolate. Yeah, everybody, or most people like chocolate, but if you eat nothing but chocolate, it's not good for you, right? I mean, that's obvious, and doing anything in excess, not access, but excess, isn't going to be healthy for anybody. And I think too many people now, they find something that they get into so heavily that they run with it and go into it balls deep and disregard everything else in life. And that's where the danger lies now. And it's not healthy. It's not doing anybody any good.
But look at these young people sitting together, right? There is something primal that they don't understand. Like, they want to sit together in a group. You need to sit together in a group. Otherwise, if you're sitting alone, and you'll notice this, like people that sit alone, or if you ever had the chance to sit alone somewhere, and you have your phone with you, and there are groups of people around, there's almost something that feels off, right? But if you're alone at home, it's a lot different. Like, you feel safer. There is something surrounding you. So there is something primal that these people are responding to. They go out, they sit together in a group, and no one talks to anyone. Like, I went into coffee shops, and it felt like, I was attending a funeral, because it was it was that quiet. The only thing that you could hear were the machines working, making their espressos and frappes, or whatever the hell they were making, frappuccinos. That's the new thing, isn't it? But people sitting across, no one's talking, and I don't understand it.
Do you think that's what people are searching for? Maybe they're searching for peace and serenity.
No, I don't think they're searching for peace and serenity. When they're going out to, let's say, feel social with other people.
Right. Yeah, they're trying to
they just
humanity without
they have better things to do elsewhere, or they're just so stuck in this, let's say, fake world that you're accessing online, or the friends, the Instagram, the likes. How many likes did I get on this Facebook post? Did they like my picture? Oh, I have 100 likes. Ooh, that means 100 guys want to fuck me, and things like that. Oh, they're saying I'm beautiful there. It's bullshit. No one pays attention to what's happening in front of them. The likes are imaginary. They mean nothing.
Yeah, social Hollywood engineering has nothing to do with real life. When you go out to a coffee shop or go to a meeting place, you have to interact, and you have to know how to interact. And if you don't know how to interact and you've never done that, and if you're doing like Instagram and all that stuff all your life, you get out into that real world, and then that's what it's going to be. People are going to be just sitting there staring at each other because they don't know how to interact with each other anymore.
It gets to the point with me that if I'm talking to somebody and we're having a conversation and their phone rings and they answer it, I will turn around and I'll leave. I'll just leave them. I think that's the rudest goddamn thing in the world. Just to they might say excuse me or whatever else, but if we're in a conversation, what you're telling me is that what you possibly might have going on is more important than what I'm actually telling you at this moment or what we're discussing. So if it's that little of importance to you, well, guess what? You're of that little importance to me. And I walk away. And it pisses people off. They get offended. Well, screw you. Your offense means nothing to me.
Yeah, that means nothing.
It's a funny thing that people I've done that to, that I know and I've been repeat. I'll hear their phone ring and they won't answer it again. So I guess they got the message. But this is what I need to do to feel like, hey, look, I'm somebody and I'm here. I'm taking my time. I'm here, and spending it with you face to face. I'm not just calling you whenever willy-nilly I feel like it. So therefore, treat me with that respect. And if you don't show me that respect, I don't show you that respect.
Well, the thing is, I mean, for the young guys, if there are any young guys listening to us, I mean, try this. Just leave your phone at home and go out and see how weird it is. How many long pauses of silence exist when you go out with your friends. And I forget my phone all the time because my phone is always on silent. Like silent mute with no notification showing. So I will check my phone, I'll be like 10 notifications, I'll be like, oh shit. Emails, everything, alerts, missed calls, everything. But I at least know what's happening around me at that point in time. But if you forget your phone and you go out with your mates, especially if your mates are young, they just spend like fuckloads of time on their phones. Fuckloads of time. And no one does any talking to each other. And the conversation is broken. So it's not like we're talking right now where, it's just flowing and natural and all that. You talk about something, then someone texts someone something or messages someone something, or someone finds something on a website and someone finds a funny picture or a meme, and then the conversation just breaks from whatever you were discussing, goes to the meme, then goes to something else, and then goes to something else, and then it goes back. And it's not bad enough that you're out in a restaurant or a bar or a coffee place or whatever, and you have the random people just telling you, is everything all right? Is this okay? Do you want something else? And the conversation breaks up as it is, but you have your phone as well. You're missing so much.
Yeah, do you think that's partly due to the Hollywoodification of lifestyles, where there's always these patented answers for everything, and it leads to these awkward silences where you really didn't know all as much as you thought you knew on that particular thing that you're going for in these awkward social moments? Like if you're watching Hollywood movies and you're thinking that that's the way to live, and you're going to go to the bar or go to the pub or go to a meeting place, and everybody's going to be happy and everything's going to be joyful, and women are going to talk to you, and there's going to be these great guys and great girls that have these terrific personalities. That's not real. That's fantasy land.
Nothing is real, man. Nothing is real. Everyone has.
Whoa.
That's me. Sorry.
Oh,
right, so Jesus, man.
Your phone?
Put your phone on silent.
Yeah, no shit. How rude.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, I feel like leaving now.
So what was I saying? Shit, I forgot.
Everything's going to be joyful. And women are going to and there's going to be these great guys and great girls that have
hey, Gregory, turn your volume off on the feed. On your live podcast.
There we go. Better. Welcome here. Welcome, man.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Gregory.
How's everyone doing?
We're doing pretty good. We're giving Joe a ration of hell right now. His phone rang right during a talk about how rude it is to do that.
It's funny. Joe throws a topic out there, and he doesn't realize what's going to come back at him. No, it's a good topic, though. I love what you guys are talking about.
Living in the moment. That's what it should be all about.
Yeah, something I wanted to add. Warhorse was talking about this. I see this all the time, man. People are just on their little, their devices or whatever, their technology, and no one's talking to one another. I see that constantly. And I said in the chat, we live in this communication age, but the very last thing that we do is communicate. We just take it for granted.
Well, what I was going to bring up, and I think this kind of leads into certain narcissism too, with these devices, is I remember the day, and I'm sure Joe does, and Gregory, you might too, when things like car phones first came out.
Yeah.
And the bigger cell phones, the original huge walkie-talkie looking things, and everything else,
Bricks.
and how very few people had them. And how self-important these people acted when they were on their phone. They used to make sure that everybody saw them, if they're driving their car. And look, I worked for Mercedes, so I had the opportunity to see plenty of these phony, wanderlust bastards with their phone glued to their ear and acting all super important and everything else. Look at me, I got a phone in my car. And I think that transferred into the cell phones, the smaller cell phones that came later on, people talking very loud, making it known to everybody around them. Look at me, I'm important, I'm on the cell phone. And
well, before we got there, the Warhorse, we went through the beeper stage. I know you all remember that.
Sure.
I got to go make a call. I just got beeped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's some sort of self-serving narcissism and of overblown self-importance that you're putting out there. And now that everybody has one, they're constantly buying the more expensive ones, more and more expensive, that are way over the top for, let's say, high school kids to have. They're running around with these phones that are over $1,000.
iPhones. Yep.
Yeah, whatever they are, man. I don't even know. I still got an old flip phone. Mine is
I'm seeing kids that are 10 years old with iPhones, okay?
Yeah.
Right, I got a dumb phone. I don't know what all these new things are. I saw them at Walmart, and I was looking at the prices, and I said, wow, they're not bad priced. And then I realized, no, that's not for the phone. That's for the monthly service cost that you have to pay for after you pay for the phone. I'm thinking, God damn, man, are they crazy?
I'm surprised that Budweiser and Philip Morris hasn't put smart on cigarettes and beer.
Yeah. Hello, Greg.
Man, it's. I think the way that people see their lives right now. This is how I used to view my life. So I will go with because I'm a self-important asshole. Stardust calls me megalomaniac all the time, so he must be right. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I think I'm very self-important. Now, when I used to see my life,
you're a legend in your own mind.
Exactly, and that's all you need to be, right? Anyway, so I used to think that I would go out and it would play like the Hollywood movie. Like, I'd go out, I'll be so awesome. I'll get a woman to just come and talk to me. I would just ditch her and go for the pretty one and, get her home. And then it will finish like a porn movie, right? Where I would just fuck her brains out and jizz all over her face, and then I would just kick her out. Or I would bring her pizza at home.
She would thank you for it.
Me for it. Yes, and ask me to do even worse things to her. Right? Now, reality of things is a lot different. Very different.
Yeah.
Maybe a night can finish like a porn movie, or if you choose the right woman. Now, but it never plays out as it is in the Hollywood films, and there is no camera viewing you at all times. You're not the main actor in the film called life, and it's humbling to understand that. But you need to understand that and accept that. It makes you more aware of the things that do come your way, the things that you do achieve on your own, the things that you do in the moment, and you enjoy life a lot more. You stop viewing yourself from an outside, a third-person point of view. It's very weird how people see themselves. It's kind of like we all have faces. We all have this idea of ourselves. We have a general idea of how we look, but we're living life as if there is a camera viewing us from outside and following us our entire lives, as if we're that important, and we're living life not as we want to live our lives. When you realize that, as you see out of your eyes, that's all there is,
Yeah,
then you enjoy things a lot more.
Good story about all of us one day. That's what it is like. It is like that. I mean, a lot of people, and you know what? That drives a lot of fear too. And you do things because they're expected of you.
Mm.
That can literally derail an entire life. So it's just doing what you love, man.
Yeah, and the majority of us spend at least 8 hours a day doing what we're supposed to do and acting in the way that we're supposed to do. Then you have 16 hours.
Have you ever watched the movie called The Truman Show with Jim Carrey?
Yeah,
where
exactly.
He was the
like
star, living his life on camera, vicariously, not knowing that he was on camera. And when he did find out, he didn't want to live that way. And I think some of us romanticize that. Yes, we're Rock Hudson, or we're the Rock, or whatever you might fantasize that we're living this, when in fact you would not want that type of imposition on your privacy or your life, because you can't constantly be on.
You know what was interesting about that movie? I'm sorry, let me just say this real quick. What was interesting about that movie was at the end, all the people watching him became disinterested in like 2 seconds after he escaped that, pod-like existence or whatever, in that little, world of his. As soon as he escaped that, everyone lost interest anyway. And it's the same way with fame.
Correct.
Like music stars, if they're not on top of it constantly, then they are old news. They become stale, and it's like if you're not constantly tending to your own fame, you become yesterday's news. And that's the attention span of the people who are watching in the first place. As soon as you stop, they're going to look away. They're going to find something else to affix their attention to.
Well, don't we see that now on a smaller scale with the YouTube videos? That people rise very quickly, they fade away quickly, or fall very quickly, and then all of a sudden they're not even brought up anymore, unless somebody, on occasion might remember a person or a content maker. Other than that.
It's very telling what you just pointed out there. It's very telling about our attention spans and how we value what's being put out there anyway. So.
Well, it all depends on how you value yourself, as opposed to having value put on yourself through other people. In other words,
I think there's some interplay there, but give and take and feedback and all that stuff. I think there's some interplay there, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah, self-confidence is all important.
But you can see the transition within the Mgtow community. Like in the past, people would watch this, and I still going back in Barbarossa's videos and Stardusk's videos in the past. 40 minutes, 45 minutes, fucking long videos, and people would watch them, and you'll find thousands of views there. And as we grew as a group, right, now the videos that get the views are 10 minutes, and you don't even have the time to explain anything in 10 minutes, not holistically in any way or shape or form. If you want to do that, then you stick to one point and you leave your conclusion pretty much uncovered. Or you just do these whooshy videos that we see all the time from Sandman. And that's not an attack to Sandman, by the way, but you can't cover any topic in its entirety in 10 minutes if you're trying to say something.
It's going to have to make some kind of real impact, you know what I mean? And it'll probably be entertainment based. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that one day, like, a 30-minute video will be a
No.
No?
I think we're at 10 minutes now. It will be 5 minutes very soon.
Oh my.
I've tried. Look. I made a good example. Whoop. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. That's kind of sad to me, because a lot of the really meaningful and potent content is in a 30-minute range. Those are some of the most powerful videos out there, because you can stay tuned for. I mean, Spetsnaz just released one today that has
beautiful.
Since I watched it, and it's a 30-minute video, 25 minutes or so, and you need that kind of real, attention paid to something in order to, get something that's going to make you think long after the video is over. If I listen to a 10-minute video, I'm going to forget it 10 minutes later. If I listen to a 30-minute video, maybe this is just how I am. If I listen to a 30-minute video, that's going to stick with me for weeks.
But Spetsnaz moves the topic forward and constantly a little bit of change. In other words, he could have made 3 10-minute videos out of his one video, most definitely. So he keeps it interesting. If somebody keeps droning on about the same thing for 30 minutes, you lose people's attention very quickly.
You lose people's attention, but it depends how you view the videos. For example, if you're going to a class, right, or you're going for a lecture or something like that, the videos, the lectures last, the attention span of whoever is viewing it lasts for around half an hour to 40 minutes. That's the maximum that someone can have your attention. And that's the maximum that you can learn. So it depends. Like the kind of people that you get to watch your videos or the content that you're putting out is not people that necessarily go to get entertained, although some entertainment value might come out of that. But the people that watch the 30, 40-minute videos are people who are looking to learn something. Do you see what I'm saying with this? So,
Nico, that movie Patch Adams, where he was experimenting and he was saying, let's increase the response time to his sense of humor, and he was like, we got to increase that response time, and once we do, we'll be able to, keep their attention and everything. I think the same thing could be applied to Mgtow. It could be strategic to where people could, plot a way of, being able to strike it into the consciousness and then hold their attention longer, and then have a real beginning, a real middle, a real ending to what they're talking about that brings it all into focus so that there can be some real substance put forward. Now, I see people like Stardust and Barbarossa, they can put out that video and they're going to get the views because it's highly interesting. It's, I don't know, maybe it's just challenging ourselves to, do that or whatever.
Maybe we can challenge ourselves, but I'm looking at my videos, right? The 2 most watched videos right now are interviews. One discussion, Women Are Evil, and the other one is the interview with Rollo Tomassi, right? And I'll tell you something striking. The interview took around 1 hour and 50 minutes. The average view duration of that video is 20 minutes and 49 seconds, right? So people don't watch it in its entirety. And the interview with Rollo Tomassi is 21 minutes and 28 seconds. So people don't put the time to watch a full video.
Isn't that a median kind of watch? I mean, aren't they lumping all the numbers together on that? I mean, some people watch that.
Of course, I know that. But not everyone does. But, for example, if you look at videos that are around the 10-minute mark, like people would watch 8 minutes, they would watch 9 minutes, they would watch 7 minutes, and I'm looking at them now. So they watch a lot more videos, and the way that the algorithm works in YouTube is if you watch more, let's say, time of that video, it goes higher up. and it gets
Yeah.
more shares.
Right.
So right now, when we have this fast-paced, let's say, kind of living with people with short attention spans, etc., the 10-minute mark is the cutoff.
Right.
Even shorter. If you make even shorter videos, it's easier to get noticed. It's easier for your message to get out there.
And it also depends on what you're talking about, what the topic is, and how much perceived entertainment value. Like, you know, I'm looking while you were bringing it up, Nico. You know, I'm looking at my last bunch of videos here, and of course, the last one I made, where I had a aneurysm explosion of, you know, talking and everything. I have more views on that video, on a rant video, than I have put together for my last 10 videos. So,
all you have to do is put rant on a video and it's gonna sell.
well, put Mgtow and rant together, and all of a sudden, the world is your oyster for about 15 minutes, and everybody comes out of the woodwork. And now that was not my intention by any means. I meant what I said in there and everything else, but it goes to show that any realistic information that I was putting out there prior to this, for what most people would consider a boring video, because, well, they're not into it. But everybody likes a good rant, you know. Everybody likes that good hard talk. Of course, I drove a lot of retards out of the woodwork too.
Yeah.
In my comment section, you know, I think I got myself a couple new trolls here from one friggin' video, you know. And none of these people have ever watched any of my other shit. So it all goes by topic too, not just the time. But that video was actually only a little over 8 minutes long.
How do we increase how do we expand the attention span on something like that so that
I know how to do it. I mean, Spetsnaz does it all the time.
right?
Like when I'm trying to say something remotely, let's say, logical or intelligent, because I used to do my videos without any music, without changing my tone of voice, and things like that. Well, I mean, I used to change my voice, but I didn't change the way that I was describing things. So if you put a bit of background music so that people can have something to listen to in the gaps that you're giving them time to think a bit, you talk a bit slower, you change your voice into talking a bit more, you know, like you're and the way that I view it is how I would talk to a woman before I was going to fuck her, right? Just talk a bit more calmly, get them to get drawn in, almost hypnotically in a way. When you do that, people watch the video a lot more. And that's advertising skills and shit like that, which I found out from other people and watching other videos. But if you want to get your message out, that's the way to do it.
Well,
and that's how you increase the span, the attention span, by like what, 5 minutes?
Right.
And some things are also more naturally. If you listen to Spetsnaz, his voice, the way he talks, and everything else is very soothing, and I don't think you can repeat that if you don't have that type of voice. Same thing goes with Messenger. He has that type of voice that kind of holds your attention just due to the cadence and the tone of its voice, and it comes naturally. You can tell it's not a put on. So that you could call it a gift or what have you, but that also holds people's attention.
It's a skill, I think, because he when I was talking to him, the way he talks, it kind of gets you to want to talk. You know, and he's a very well trained therapist, so he can get you to open up. The same is true for his videos. It's kind of like you're in a room with your, kind of like in a room with your own thoughts. You know what I mean? You've thought these things before, typically, and you end up opening up to yourself. I think that may be how people respond to him directly in that regard. It's a very well honed skill that he has. He definitely got me to talk.
Right. I wonder though if that a lot of it doesn't come naturally. You know that it has
It's
to be.
about Spetsnaz. I mean, it's his skill set. I do the same thing with interviews. It's drawing the other person in. I think of the interviews because I got compliments for the interviews that I did. It's easy to do it. Do you know how you do it? When you feel like you're supposed to talk, don't. And wait, and the other person fills in the gaps, and they just keep talking and saying things and sharing things without you doing anything, and they feel like, you know, they've connected with you, like you're a good listener and all these things. And they taught me all these things when I was in med school. Now, I was a good listener beforehand because I was sleeping with women, so I had to learn how to stay quiet for for some time, and not put a lot of judgment in what people were telling me. But that's the way to do interviews, and that's the way to draw people's attention. And it's a skill that all therapists have. It's a skill that many doctors have. It goes with the type of field that, you know, you're doing. Definitely, media has that as well.
Yeah, it's like presenting yourself as a blank screen so that they can just go ahead and write on that blank screen anything they want. They just constantly write a status on there, and people will do it if you have like the skill to be able to look. You're basically saying, hey, you can say whatever you want. You know, and they do.
But it's funny. How come? You know, I can't even stand to listen to women anymore doing videos or what have you because of their voice and anything. I haven't found one yet that's soothing. But yet with men, I find quite a few out there that I very much, the voice itself is more relatable, more, there's something very different about it. And maybe I've just gotten so sick and tired of women yakking at me that I can't take it anymore. But you know, I find that and few men seem to have that natural gift. You know, I'm sure they've learned some of the things through their profession, what have you. But you can kind of tell that a lot of it is coming naturally. If they're that good, then I'm really impressed.
You can't learn anything. I don't believe in you being able to learn everything altogether. I mean, seeing someone and listening to someone are two different things. But when you're seeing someone or when you're talking to someone, you have a different, let's say, idea of what that person is thinking. And there is definitely a learned element to it, like the therapist element of just staying quiet and allowing the other person to talk. But you need to be able to bounce an idea back and the other person thinking that you're at least paying attention. So it is a skill set, and the voice, like you said, has a lot to do with it. And I know I suffer with not having a great voice. I know Messenger's voice, Spetsnaz, Stardust, and Barbarossa, they have very enticing and kind of like attention-grabbing voices, right? So that definitely helps a lot. But in reality, in being in real life with a person, it's very different, and there are a lot of things that you can learn. They teach most things in kind of like business schools. So if you're becoming a salesman, they teach you a lot of these things, because by getting a person to open up to you, getting a person to talk to you, and staying quiet, and then just, you know, giving them this illusion of being connected to them at a deeper level, because it is a human concept, then you get them to buy things from you. So it goes in all areas of life, and it's this human connection. But on the point that you were saying with female voices, they did studies on this. You know the GPS that people put on their cars? They put female voices initially because they thought, oh, men would like to listen to women talk to them, and women definitely enjoy listening to women. But they found that the men got, well, not just the men, generally people didn't follow instructions from their GPS because it was a female voice. So it's like, turn right. Fuck you, I'm turning left. It's kind of like that.
Because you're always expecting them to say, you know, why don't men ask for directions? Just ask for directions.
I've never had a GPS and a talking one. I've heard them, and I feel like punching the thing and saying, "Shut up, bitch." You know, I mean, it's just a normal reaction I get. Like, goddamn, quit yakking at me, man. Shut up. Just shut the fuck up. I know where I'm going. You know, leave me alone.
That's exactly. I've had the authentic GPS with my wife in the passenger seat, and it never worked out.
But think about it though. Like when they were doing the studies on the female voice on GPS and things like that, like they found people were having like arguments with the machine, and because they would get angry at the machine, and it's like, turn left. I heard you already. You know.
That would be me, yes. I have no doubt about that.
So the majority of GPSs right now, so if you get one that's built in, let's say if you have BMWs, Mercedes, stuff like that, they try to install a male voice, right? Turn left and things like that. And people find that a lot less, let's say, annoying. and they seem to be following instructions more.
It's probably because you trust it. You know, you just end up trusting men more than you do women. It's just natural.
Man, it's how it is. You trust it a lot more, and think of it. Think of the female voice. It's higher pitch. It's closer resembling a child's voice, so you can't ignore it. So it's that's the problem. And my voice is not deep in any way. I can make it deep, but my voice is not deep. So if I'm talking for a long period of time next to someone, they feel the inclination to punch me. And I can see that happening with either children. Can you imagine a child crying in the back seat for like ages? You get angry at some point. And the same with a woman. You can't ignore her voice because it's built inside of you to listen to that kind of pitch.
It's the primal scream, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to listen to it in case a child needs something.
Right, yeah. Do men have built-in GPSs? Do we, you know, we don't need the GPS sometimes because I know north, south, east, and west. And is that what happens to us men? Sometimes we lose our compass in life.
We lose our compass in life, but as for the built-in GPS, the number of guys that I've seen getting lost, it might be a skill that's no longer there. We're definitely built better for visual spatial orientation compared to females.
Yeah. I don't think we lose our compass. I think we lose our calibration on our compass.
Yeah, north no longer looks like north. You know, it's just everything gets confusing, and then we lose our compass in life. We just lose that direction that we used to have sometimes.
It's little things too, Traversable, because if you're driving a car, and you know this, everyone here knows this, if you're driving a car and you move your steering wheel like 1/8 of an inch to the left, and you're in the right-hand lane, a mile later you will be in the left-hand lane, and a mile after that you will be into a telephone pole. You have to recalibrate that thing constantly, your steering wheel in life, you know, just to stay straight. You know what I mean? You have to shimmy it back and forth. You know, you have to true it up, you know, as you go. You know, a lot of guys don't think about that. They don't think about, you know, I have to stay on this. You know, it's not just cruise control where it's not steering control. It's, you know, maybe you got speed control, but you don't have steering control. You have to be in control of that.
You have to be in control of your life, yeah. And the highway keeps going straight. It's that Mgtow sign, you know. Sometimes you got to get off.
Yeah.
You got to get off, take a break, go to McDonald's, get a cup of coffee, relax, reset your compass before you get back on.
Exactly.
I'm reading this book. Well, listening to this audiobook by Steven Pinker. That's the latest one that I'm
Okay.
He's
listening
good.
to.
He's
He's
good. I
he's
like
very
Baker.
good. He's very good.
Yep.
And he's talking about how the mind works, and he's going about it from the point of view of of evolutionary psychology. And he's describing how complex our minds are and how they operate with small subsections doing small things. And you can tell all these things about calibration, things that we no longer use if we rely on technology, on GPS telling us things, on phones that keep our numbers in and addresses and everything that we need to know. We stopped using that part of our brain, for example, that we needed in the past to store all these things. So yeah, as men, I think we're not as calibrated as we used to be because technology has taken over. But it doesn't mean that that point of our brain just goes completely to waste. You can definitely recalibrate. You can definitely go back to.
Yeah, you just have to turn off the cruise control once in a while, and you know what I mean? A lot of people rely on that, and it's just turn off the cruise control, turn off the automatic pilot, and get behind the wheel and really drive that.
Well, some people like to get on the merry-go-round and have everything done for them. Those are the ones that are going to fail in life, because the people that can't stand to be on the merry-go-round want to control everything in their life. And the more control you have over everything and master that control, the better suited you are to go through life, a happy life at that.
Yeah, the better suited you are to adapt. I mean, some of those cycles of those formulas of success can really be healthy, but you can adapt them along the way as well. Yeah.
Do you think it's technology that's making our lives a lot easier? But do you think it's taken a big part of us away from us? Because, man, I said this many times before, I've always been dating the same age of woman. So it means that younger women became that age of woman, which means I'm in essence dating people who are getting a lot younger than me year by year, right?
Right.
And right now, for example, you ask for a girl's number or something like that, they don't even know their own numbers. They look in their phones to find their fucking numbers because they have it saved somewhere, and it's different. Like I still remember lots of numbers off by heart, but things are just changing, and I'm finding it a lot harder right now to relate with the younger generation, and I'm talking younger generation in terms of like 6 years difference.
Is it making you question like whether or not they're self-aware or something like that?
Yeah, because if you're talking to a person that's constantly on Facebook, Instagram, has no concept of here and now, and doesn't even remember their own fucking numbers when they spend 100% of their time on their phones, I don't even think that they know where they are and what they're doing, and they definitely have no concept of who they are.
Well, I think the takeover of technology is allowing people to shed their personal responsibility for anything. And that, I mean, cars that are, you've got throttles, which are throttled by wire, drive by wire, steering wheels that are no longer connected to anything but electronics, and people saying this happened years ago, unintended acceleration. The car just accelerated by itself because it was the advent of that technology. So now all of a sudden, okay, this old woman didn't step on the gas pedal and accelerated. No. It was the car that did it because of this technology. So I think a certain, shedding of that responsibility is occurring with technology taking over. And then people saying, well, hey, I couldn't control it, because this is what it does. Can you imagine if one of these Google cards gets out here, comes to your house, and you run into somebody, right? Well, you had no control over the car. It was the car that did it. You're completely exonerated. I think this is where we're going. And
Well,
it's
my,
not,
Mandatory. It's
my
almost like I remember a time when cars could be fixed with a pair of pliers, a screwdriver, a wire. I mean, if you had that in your trunk, you had a repair kit. And yeah, it's
Oh yeah, the points.
yeah.
Man, my friend bought now a new C-Class Mercedes, right? Beautiful car. It parks on its own, right? Has shitloads of cameras. It parallel parks on its own, drives on its own, and when you're in the highway, so it has cameras and sees the lane and just goes in the lane and keeps a certain distance. So, I mean, what are you doing? You're just a passenger to that machine. So yeah, there is a lot of responsibility that's being taken away from us. Everything is being automated. But if everything's being automated, then what the fuck are we actually doing?
right. And the question is, how much can you blame on everything else? I mean, this is basically going back to the gynocentric way of thinking. You know, women are never at fault, right? They blame everything on everybody else. They're not responsible for anything. And now we've got men growing up in a society where, well, you're not responsible if you run into the car in front of you because your car is supposed to slow down by itself, right? Look at it. I mean, come on, think about it. That's where we're heading. Nobody has any more responsibility for what they're doing.
Right, it's the same thing with the development of the washing machine and the modern stove and everything. It took a little responsibility off of women, and all of a sudden this thing became, well, there was no responsibility, and the home became a place where they didn't want to be anymore. There was nothing to do. Is that same thing going to happen with the modern technology?
Well, there is nothing that you need to do right now. Like, you can automate most things.
Yeah.
Most things. You can set your washing machine to start washing your clothes like 2 hours before you come back home from work, so they're ready and washed. You can even set it to dry your clothes straight away. You can buy ready meals, so you don't even have to do that. You hit them in the microwave, 3 minutes,
Oh, yeah.
everything's ready. Your phone, you can even download programs that apps that respond automatically to people when you're in meetings, doing things, etc. You can even have apps that put all of your meetings in your calendar, so you don't even have to know your meetings. Everyone,
Yeah. I have a
everything just
PLC.
gets automated. You don't even have to know where you need to be on a certain day. You
Right,
go to work, and then you just look at your agenda or timetable, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be there. And I'm a person that, as I said, I take it day by day. But I'm one of those people that relies a lot on technology in order to do this.
Isn't it interesting that, you know, the topic of conversation is, you know, expectations, and the real expectation that a lot of people have is automation. And our future is not an automated thing. It is something we have to design. And so it plays right in there. I think it's a good point that you're making, is that we rely so much, our expectation is automation. And do we apply that to our lives in such a way to where we expect it to automatically just play out for us? No, we have to create that.
Right, are other people's expectations thrown on us too? It's you know, we know what women have certain expectations of us, and we know the society has certain expectations on us. And are those real expectations, or
Are we viewed as machines, as
we're
robots?
viewed as machines?
Well,
robots?
yes, because here's the rub in this whole thing. Everything can be automated except fixing the machines that are
Right.
automated.
Oh,
You're going to,
great point, Warhorse. Keep talking.
you know, that will always be men doing that. They will always be the ones fixing the automation to continue working. What happens is we have dealings with people that feel so entitled to this automation working constantly now, when they want it, how they want it, and not having to wait for it, that it will again fall on, well, it's a man's fault for not repairing it quick enough or what have you. It's a no-win scenario, but nevertheless, we're not going to be obsolete because the automated machines will still need that human element, and it will be men. And okay, maybe a few women, but mostly it'll be men. I'm
They
sorry,
can never, they can never account for what could go wrong, and therefore they can't create an expectation for that to go wrong in automation. And so the thing that they are going to end up relying on is human intervention, and that intervention is it can't be quantified in any real way. It has to be available. So no matter how far we advance, I think that need is always going to be there, and therefore, when people have expectations of automation, they'll always be let down. But when the human comes to intervene and correct those problems, that's the real expectation that people should rely on. That's the real, and it can't be automated.
and that should also show appreciation for that.
I think we're way past that, guys. I think we're way past that.
How so?
Let me explain certain things. Like you guys are a lot older. Well, not a lot. You're older than me. So back in the day, when you bought something, let's say a toaster, a fridge, or whatever, you bought that thing and you thought you bought that thing for life, right?
Right.
Right now, we live in a point in time when something stops working, it's equally as cheap to buy something new as it is to fix it, right?
Correct.
Or
Yes.
slightly more expensive to buy something new. So we're living at a point in time when something doesn't work, you just throw it away and you buy something new. And I think the same thing applies when it comes to relationships, when it comes to people interacting with each other, and whatever. It seems to be pervasive in the current generation that when something doesn't work, or it's not working as well as it should be, or it once was, then you throw it away and you go with something else.
Well,
Friendships between men work in the same way. So you have minor disagreements with someone, you move on, right?
Right.
You'll find someone else, someone equally as good or better than that person. Your phone doesn't work. Imagine cell phones right now. The cell phone, the new shiny cell phones that we have. I think Zita has a Note 5 right now. That has a shelf life of 6 months, right?
Jeez.
Something new will replace it in 6 months. And the technology gets replaced, upgraded, updated, software, etc. every 6 months to a year. So people are not willing to work on fixing things. And you don't need that much automation or fixing automation if you're just replacing the thing that's already broken. And I think that when I see people arguing with their friends and no one makes any effort in fixing things, or people who have their phone screens damaged and they just buy a new phone, it shows me how people behave, how men and women behave together as well. If something doesn't work, move on.
Get rid of it. Yeah, that's
Get rid of it.
disposability.
Well, that's imposed. That's imposed on society too. You know, I mean, we impose that on everything in our lives, but it can be. I mean, we apply that, and therefore it doesn't make it right. It just means that you know what I mean. I mean, men are really not disposable. You can't dispose of men.
no, but
Their
what's
utility
happened
is, yeah.
we've become so used to everything having built-in obsolescence
Yeah.
that we almost expect it. You know, that if your coffee breaker makes, yeah, screw it, throw it out. You know, of course it's not going to go to the repair shop. Now, other things that are higher up on the scale, like an automobile, if you've got a 5-year automobile, old car, you're going to have it repaired. And if it's even half the cost of a new car, most people are not going to go and buy a new car. Same thing goes for automated machinery and companies. These can be millions of dollars worth of equipment that once they break down or have a problem, they usually get repaired. very few times is the obsolescence really built into these at that quick rate, but we get used to it when it comes down to the smaller items, the lower budget items that we now have been conditioned to deem as disposable, and very acceptably disposable, because the new, much better one is probably going to be cheaper now than, actually, look, my 55-inch TV I just bought cost less than the 32-inch that I bought 7 years ago or 8 years ago. So there it is. You know, why would I bother to repair the old one when the new one, much bigger, better, and shinier, can be done? So we've been conditioned to this disposability and built-in obsolescence.
But let me make a point here. Investment has always been backed by innovation. Okay, if that's the case, then we can work with that. We need to innovate the man. If the man is disposable, we need to innovate the man. And the man becomes not disposable, but he becomes able to adapt to a new type of innovation. He becomes the innovative man, and that's what Mgtow is. That's what Traversable, I think, just put up in the chat.
Isn't that what this is about? Keeping yourself healthy enough to, go buy these things in life. Taking that time for yourself, losing some of those expectations and fixing yourself before it becomes a problem in life. That's what Mgtow is.
Let me give you an example. I'll take myself, although I'm not the let's say youngest of people, but for me, a phone that I have, a smartphone, the lifespan of a smartphone that I possess is 1 year. 1 year, every year I buy a new smartphone, more times than not, unless I really, really like the thing, which means I'll buy a new one and use this one for a couple of more months, right? So it's a year, maybe 18 months, right, at the worst of times. Not phones, cars, they will last for about 3 years, 4 years, and then I'll get a new one, right? Everything has obsolescence because there are new things that are out there, not because you necessarily need the new things, but because repair costs, etc., it's just as cheap to keep the new thing. And that keeps the industry working, it keeps the economy running, everyone likes this kind of thing. But it gives to the people that are living right now the idea that everything is replaceable, everything is disposable, and unfortunately, human beings do not change as quickly as technology does. So we have to wait for 100,000 years, right? So it's not something that will happen in our lifetime. Maybe socially we can change a bit, but not in any meaningful way that it will upgrade us, let's say. So our evolution right now as a species is happening by virtue of technology and our ever-changing minds. So that's why you have so many. For example, I was talking to Zita, right? Zita had a Note. God, Zita, what kind of Note did you have? Note 2? 1? I have no idea. Like an ancient phone. And now you moved from that to Note 5. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, dude, just get the new one. What's the point in just waiting? And it's a different mindset. If you're slightly older, you know to keep things. If it's working, why change it? Or if there is a certain problem with it and it's still functional, then why buy a new one? But this doesn't exist with the younger generation. It just doesn't exist. Something doesn't work, you throw it out, you buy a new one. And it applies to people.
Nico, I have to ask you this then, and let you just speak on this one point, is, men are made up of the intellectual man, the emotional man, the psychological man, whatever, aspect that makes up the human existence. I mean, what's the prescription or the consultation in terms of, innovating that and keeping it relevant, keeping it, to where it is not disposable or obsolete, because eventually emotions, the intellect, and the psychology of a man will be rendered obsolete. We don't want that. We want to keep it, relevant. And so, speak on that in terms of, I mean, can we really, I mean, yes, we are applying obsolescence to a lot of things, and technology moves pretty fast. How do we keep men relevant, reinvented, innovated in the emotional sense, in the intellectual sense, in the the psychological sense, in the physical sense, in order to stay relevant in the times that we live? You know what I mean? Because we're just
reinventing men. Isn't that what feminism is trying to do?
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to reinvent us through our educational system, through the societal system, through every system, even colleges and what have you. It's all they're trying to reinvent us. It's not us reinventing us. It's society reinventing us, and this is what we have nowadays. When you look at the younger men, this is a product of that. Well, they understand they can't dispose of us. They'd like to. I know some of them would like to see us all dead, but they're trying to reinvent the man to suit them, to be a different man than what used to be. So
that's my point exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. You can't. We can maybe grow with technology, understand technology. The new generation understands technology a lot better. They understand how to communicate with the new reality of things, etc. But the fact is, human beings are tactile. They're emotional. They're going to be like this for at least 100,000 years, right? It's going to be like this for a very fucking long time. Now, I don't think we can change in any meaningful way in order to do this, to be relevant, let's say. But we can change the way that we view ourselves, and that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. Just view the way that you view yourself, maybe the way that you view other people can change. But it needs to be one person at a time. One person at a time. And if you see yourself as relevant and no one else cares whether you're relevant or not, that's good enough. That's good enough. And you can live the life that you want to live.
You have to be able to address the beliefs that people hold about you on an individual basis, and I definitely get that. I'm just kind of curious about on the macro scale, just as men in general. I'm seeing what Warhorse said. The educational system, of course, is having its way with trying to define men and everything. Mgtow is definitely the response to that. I mean, in that sense, I mean, we define ourselves. No one defines us for us, and so.
Have you watched one of the videos where I told people not to shave and not to wash and be disgusting human beings? Right?
That.
So it wasn't. What I was trying to do to younger people and this new generation of men that I see coming out is that it's not that I see people who shave, people who trim, people who are clean or whatever any less or anything like that, but I want people to come in terms with who they are, their inner nature, and their nature also takes a physical form, and I want them to understand that if you completely let yourself go, you start to turn and look like a fucking caveman, right? And you even feel like behaving like a caveman. If you look rugged and a bit disgusting and things like that, you'll find that you're scratching your balls a lot more, right? You're washing your hands a lot less, right? Yeah, that just comes naturally. And when you see yourself that you're that same caveman that lived in caves 10,000 years ago, and you just have technology right now, then you come a lot more in terms with your true nature. And that's the mistake that we're doing right now. We're kind of dividing our nature with society, and it's always this nature versus nurture debate and shit like that. No. Nature defines nurture, right? And we shouldn't really detach ourselves from our true natures, you know, the way that we were supposed to be, and we need to get in touch with who we are as a person a lot more than we're currently doing. That's the emotional journey that no one has the time right now to do, because they're stuck on their computers, they're stuck on Facebook, they're stuck on in schools listening to feminists telling them how they're pieces of shit because they were born with a dick. You know, it's it's all that. And if you take the time and you see yourself as a valuable person, an entity in itself, completely separate to anything else, that's a byproduct of thousands of years of evolution, and you have your emotions that are perfectly normal, that you have your experiences that are perfectly worthwhile, then you start to view things slightly different, right?
Right.
I know, Turkman, you enjoy smelling good, but every now and then, even I do it. Just, man, I'll go to work and they'll be like, "What the hell, are you joining Taliban? What the fuck is wrong with you?" Right? And I'll do it for around a month, and my beard grows like a motherfucker. Like it grows really fast. But I like to let myself go, so that when I look at myself in the mirror, I can see someone that looks a bit rough. And it just gets me in touch of how men used to be and what my true nature truly is. Even though I'm wearing clothes and driving a car and I have refrigerated goods, all those things, they exist because they're the products of our minds, and our mind is a product of evolution. But let's say I've been designed to live in a cave. That's what, you know, that's how I'm made to behave in the outside world.
Okay, guys, I'm going to shut this down here for palatability and listenability. We can't let it go to the 7-hour marks again. Yeah, attention spans. They can do it in like a couple 20-minute viewings if they want. But this was a good talk about men. This is what we need to talk about a little more. Talk about men, not worry about what females are doing. What's going to fix us in life? What's going to make us better men? What's going to make us happier? And what's going to give us the ability to move into old age gracefully? I think taking a break, learning how to deal and survive in this new thing that we have around here, that a lot of us aren't familiar with. Moving on in life and doing that effortlessly as men. That's what we can learn in Mgtow. Anybody have any final thoughts?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a power outage here and my modem isn't on the backup, so sorry about that. I just missed everything. Just got back in.
We were saying goodbye.
Yeah, we're just doing summations. Anybody have any final thoughts? We can go from Greg over.
Okay. I would say that one of the best inheritances that we can leave is the inheritance that we leave to ourselves, and make ourselves the greatest beneficiary of our will. And in regards to making time for ourselves and expectations and everything else, just completely redesigning and rethinking the innovation of our own future, so that we are definitely behind the wheel and we're not on cruise control, and we are looking at it with the expectation of really good things. That's my summation.
Cool. How about you, Nico?
In ancient Greece, in ancient Greece, people used to think that they lived for, let's say, their idea of immortality used to be remembered after they die, right? Mm-hmm. Now we know that that's not possible unless you just go and kill like a bunch of people, and I don't really feel like doing that. So since that's not going to be the case, and my life is going to be the only thing that will matter, I just want people to understand that if nothing you'll ever do will be remembered by yourself or anyone else, then live a life that actually matters to you at this point in time. Yeah, I'm with Becker on this.
Okay, how about you, Warhorse?
Well, on the taking care of yourself and taking a break and everything else, and what we talked about early on is, you know, for the younger guys especially, or really anybody, is think about it this way. One day you'll look back on today and the things you did now,
Right.
and you're going to have regrets if you don't do it. And there's no time like the present. So don't have those regrets as you get older. That would be my summation on this.
Is Misanthrope still with us?
He's muted. I think he had a mic
He's muted
problem
now.
earlier.
Okay. Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap this up and say I think this was a fabulous talk. It was a great talk with a wide variety of men that have different views on a lot of things in different ages. And I think, you know, just living for yourself and a little bit once in a while and putting all those stressors in life away could lead to just having a more fulfilling life. And with that, thanks a lot, men. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for showing up today, and it's always great to listen and hear from you guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.